From here, joined or not, it's not there. Yes, yes. Please call her.
Yes, she's joining. She has just joined. And good evening, ma'am, and welcome. We have 1 minute left. I think we will start in time. Archana, ma'am, please start. Please invite the coordinator and move forward.
I will do that today.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. No problem. Yeah,
Yes. Thank you, Noor.
yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
So I would like to ask our chief speaker, ma'am, if she is ready, we can start the form. Yes.
Sure.
Okay. And with the permission of President of ISPEL CG Forum, I would like to start.
Yes, Chandrani, please
Yes,
start.
right. Yes. Thank you much. So, good evening to all. I feel privileged to extend my warm welcome to all present here for the Saturday intellectual meet on self-emancipation of female characters in the novels of Sudha Murty, organized by Indigenous Society for Promotion of English Language and Literature, Chhattisgarh Forum. Before beginning the program, I would like to call Dr. Rita Soni. She is the co-convener of ISPEL CG Forum and coordinator of December month. She is an assistant professor in English working at Government Nagarjun College of Science, Raipur. She has vast teaching experience of 36 years. She has attended various faculty development programs and more than 40 national and international webinars, seminars, and conferences. Her area of specialization are contemporary Indian writings and Indian shorter fiction. I welcome you, ma'am, to proceed
Thank,
the program.
thank you, dear Indrani. Thank you. Greetings, good evening, welcome to everyone. I, Dr. Rita Soni, feel delighted to welcome Professor Ghanshyam sir, the stalwart, our patron, Dr. Kirti madam, our president, Dr. Garcha ma'am. ISPL is elated to welcome you, State Council of Educational Research and Training, Chhattisgarh. Madam, we extend a warm welcome to you. I heartily welcome all the members present today. ISPL has again brought us together to be spellbound by the discourse of Jessie Madam. Today's topic is self-emancipation of female characters in the novels of Sudha Murty. It is declared that mankind in a state of nature are equal, free and independent of each other and have a right to the undisturbed enjoyment of their lives, their liberty and their property. It is, I'm delighted to welcome our chairperson, Dr. Archana Singh, the convener of ISPIL Chhattisgarh. She is an assistant professor, head Department of English, Bhanu Pratap Dev Government PG College, North Basta, Korea. She has a long teaching experience of 27 years. She has published more than 30 scholarly papers in national and international care listed journals. She has also presented paper in an international congress held at Cape Town, South Africa. Her area of interest is English drama and linguistics. She has also prepared a module for e-Pathshala. She is an active member, a devout and devoted teacher. I welcome you, ma'am. And I would like to.
Thank you.
Okay, ma'am. Welcome, welcome. I extend my welcome, hearty welcome, to today's Master of Ceremony, that is Subhanshi Pandey. She is an avid scholar of Pandit Ravi Shankar Shukla University. She has cleared or qualified her NET examination in the year 2019. She she was also engaged in teaching at Pandit Ravi Shankar University as guest faculty. Her area of interest includes fiction, mainly crossover literature. As Master of Ceremonies, I invite dear Subhanshi Pandey to drive us ahead for further proceeding. The stage is all yours, Subhanshi.
Thank you, Rita ma'am, for such an honorable introduction, and it's my pleasure to get involved with you all.
Welcome, dear.
Thank you, ma'am. As we are today here to discuss or to hear through our eminent speaker on the topic self-emancipation of female characters in novels of Sudha Murty. So while I was going through this topic or while I was studying, trying to understand what we are about to get or what we are about to listen, I found two or three lines, ma'am. If you allow me to say in Hindi, I'll just try. It is
Sure, sure.
the title is मेरे लिए तुम. मेरे लिए तुम बहुत बहादुर हो. तुम्हें मुसीबतों का सामना करते और उलझते हालात से साबूत निकल आते मैंने कई बार देखा है. जबकि तुम गिरकर टूट भी सकती थी. जबकि तुम गिरकर टूट भी सकती थी. यह कहते हुए मुझे यह भी याद आता है कि तुम सुंदर भी हो. Now, when I read these lines, I say whenever we talk about being strong, or whenever it is about beauty, we always connect to female femininity. And now today we are here to listen on this topic. So I'm here to introduce our chief speaker, Miss Jessie Kurian, ma'am. Ma'am is an head of English Language Teaching Institute at State Council of Educational Research and Training Center, Chhattisgarh. She has 36 years of experience in teaching at various levels of school education. Also has 33 years of experience as an educator and a learning, and has developed materials for various levels at school education. Materials that have been developed by ma'am includes textbooks, reading cards, videos, audios, and English Hindi dictionaries, Chhattisgarhi English Hindi dictionary, and some teacher training materials, and many more other as well. She's also the head of LTI at SCRT Chhattisgarh. I now invite you, ma'am, for your honorable and very blissful. Hello,
Yeah,
am I audible?
yeah, you're audible. Nikki? Yeah.
I now invite you, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are audible. Please hand over the
You,
stage
ma'am.
to her. Yeah, please hand
Ma'am,
over the
Over
stage
to
to
you, ma'am.
her.
yes, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Good evening, all of you. Thank you very much for inviting me to this seminar. It's an honor for me. I mostly work in the area of ELT, but of late I've got opportunities to get involved with literature, and so that gives me some confidence to stand before you all who are neck deep into literature. So, can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Shall we start with the presentation?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Please do.
Yeah, yeah. As Madam just said, it's about self-emancipation of female characters in the novels of Sudha Murty. And to begin with, I'll just tell you what the outline of the presentation would be like. We'll start with introduction of some keywords used in the paper, and how Sudha Murty has portrayed feminism, feministic attitude, feminist achievements in her novels, and the character study of select feminine characters in terms of their struggle for self-emancipation in the patriarchal society, and the message that she is giving to us for the women of India. We'll have a short discussion on that too. The key terms that we'll discuss will be patriarchy, feminism, and self-emancipation. Patriarchy, as most of you would know, is patriarchy is the prevalence of male dominance in most social, legal, and other power structures, where male is the dominant person. The female has to be under the male dominance when it comes to decision making, choosing your course of life, or even in financial matters, and as it said, in legal issues as well. Sometimes even in political circles, the female is finds being dominated over the male dominating the female. Then about feminism and feministic movements is a movement of women for equal rights in their families in particular and the society in general. The fight, the realization that I am equal, the realization that I can fight to be equal would definitely begin in the family. And once that is achieved in the family, then it is then that we think beyond that in the society in general. Feminists fight for equal wages. That is how actually it began long time ago in US, when the feminist movement started with demand for equal wages. So feminists fight for equal wages, equal rights for property in the patriarchal society, and for equal political opportunities. And for this matter, for political opportunities, India is definitely way ahead of several other countries. Then self-emancipation is the third key word that I'd like to discuss. The process by which the oppressed liberate themselves from social and legal bondage is self-emancipation. So we'll talk more about this as we go through the whole presentation. But I think the definition itself is quite clear. It's something that the oppressed would do. And this word finds it was used very much during the days of slavery, when one had to pay one's price as a slave to get free from legal bondage. So self-emancipation was a much used term among the for the freedom of actually liberation of a slave from the master. And now we'll come to feministic portrayal in the novels of Sudha Murty. The female protagonists in her novels have shown to the world that the best way out of patriarchal dungeon is self-emancipation. You got to pull yourself out. We don't expect a women's organization or women's liberation organization to come forward to liberate us, especially at the family level. So the female protagonists in the novels of Sudha Murty also do not depend on others to pull them out of the difficulties. They take the initiative. They have the confidence that they can move ahead and liberate themselves. Here I'm sharing some pictures of novels of Sudha Murty. Most of her novels are feministic, and in most novels, especially the novels that we are looking at in the on the screen, are all feministic novels where the main protagonist is a female character. So there are inspirations for female masculinity in the novels of Sudha Murty. We have taken the novels that we will be discussing. The characters chosen will be from these novels. Gently Falls the Bakula. Here, Bakula means it's a kind of flower prevalent in South India, maybe in North India too, but it's something very popular there. It has white flowers and it has a very sweet smell. So it's the here Bakula stands for the bondage between two people, and how the Bakula falls, the reason why it falls, the relationship falls. And the story is about that. The second one, Mahashweta, where we see a woman growing independent. She also would, to some extent, be ruled by the male in the society, and even the female in the society, her mother-in-law and people of the sort try to dominate her, and how she goes ahead to, on her own, to liberate herself, to be called an independent woman, to show to the society how you could still live respectably, even if the family or your spouse ditches you or dumps you. Then there's Dollar Bahu. As the name itself suggests, it's about a it's about a lady who has two bahus, two daughter-in-laws, one in the US and other is the wife of a ordinary school teacher, of a government school teacher. So this mother-in-law has two daughter-in-laws. One is the wife of a rich person in US, and another is very ordinary, comes from very ordinary background. So her sons are earning in different manners. So mother-in-law happens to quite obviously like the Dollar Bahu, and how she later, how the conditions tame her female masculinity in the right direction. Then there's The Mother I Never Knew. Many of you might have read this. It's the story of two people, two identical looking people, men who meet, and then they try to discover what their origin is, and then find out who their mother was, that they have a common father. And there's some spelling mistake here. Grit and self-respect it is. How this woman moves ahead with the woman who is supposed to be not recognized by the society as the person's wife, goes ahead to give her son a good life, and how she is very protective about her son, and against all odds sees that her family goes well. Then the last one, The House of Cards, again we'll see the struggle of a woman against the odds that she faces in her own family. Her husband, who's a very good government doctor, changes his course. He he starts his own private practice, goes into a big corporate doctor, earning very high, and how she sees the values falling in him, how the same thing, her son grows up to become a doctor, and he also follows the father's path. And then finally how the protagonist decides that she doesn't belong here, she must break free from the values that the father and the son value. So she moves out of their lives. In all the 5 novels that we have, we'll see how the woman comes forward for self-emancipation. It's not someone else who brings them out. Moving over to the next slide, Gently Falls the Bakula. It's a story of a marriage that loses its way as ambition and self-interest take their toll. The female protagonist is a well-qualified, smart woman of the new age, and she realizes that she has lost her own identity. And just a minute. Just a minute. I'll create certain things here. A second. So to make way for her ambitions, she suddenly parts ways. Let me add here that I find a lot of um, autobiographical elements of from Sudha Murty's life in this novel. Surprisingly, there are many similar things because um, she too, Sudha Murty too, started off as a very qualified, smart woman of the new age. The second point, the second bullet that you see, the female protagonist is a well qualified, smart woman of the new age. And most of you will know that she was a well qualified computer engineer, and no less than her husband, Narayana Murthy. And they started off together. And when they were to start Infosys, she was the one who came forward. She was the one who had saved money, and she gave it to Narayana Murthy to start um, his new project. But at one point, Narayana Murthy said that only one of them could continue with their company called Infosys. One of them would have to step back to look into the cares of the family. So she offered Sudha Murty. She decided that she is going to stay back. Together, they decided that she was the one who would step out of the company and still be the treasurer of the company. And she does have an important role there, but not the lead role that she would have had. In Gently Falls the Bakula, also, the female protagonist, Srimati, her name is Srimati. She is a well qualified, very confident, and very confident decision maker. She was, where she was a topper in school. In after 10, she chooses to take um, history as a subject, and her classmates would laugh at her because she was a topper, a district topper, and she should have taken maths. But she's very confident. This is what I want to learn. This is what my stream is. So right from the beginning, what people thought hardly mattered. Though she was a conservative kind when it came to her relationship with her mother-in-law, with her husband, she did walk with the expectations of the society. But way through the marriage, she realizes that she has all the time been supportive of her husband. She's been seeing to it that she does everything possible to cooperate, to help her husband climb the corporate ladder. He reaches a very high point in his career, and she realizes that she has so many things that she would have loved to do. She would have loved to explore India, the history of India, over which she had a lot of pride. She wanted to learn more. She wanted to do PhD. Everything was left behind. And one day um, she meets her previous professor from UK, and he arranges scholarship for her, and she now calls it a day with her husband, and she says, now I got a scholarship and enough of what we've had together, but you're always welcome. When you come to UK, you can definitely meet me. So and she is happy now. She feels liberated to go on her own way. So that is how, since in this example, we see the protagonist is well educated and she can go on her own way. She has the confidence to go to other countries, some other countries, study there. That was about Srimati in Gently Falls the Bakula. Then there's Mahashweta. Mahashweta is a story of a girl called Anupama who falls in love with a doctor called Anand, much against the distaste of her mother-in-law. who's a very proactive character. They get married in a very customary manner. That is, the mother-in-law does arrange things, but she doesn't like the marriage, this match, because Anupama comes from a relatively poor family. After they get married, in 2 months, her husband goes away to England on an assignment, and she lives with her mother-in-law. And in a few months or few weeks, she discovers that there's a white patch on her leg. She thought that it was the mark of some burn that she had, but later she shows as a doctor, and doctor confirms that it's leukoderma, where the skin turns white. There's a huge social stigma, even in our society, even to this day. People do not actually, people get scared, don't know that there's nothing to be scared about leukoderma, but that is how it is taken. So her mother-in-law says that she must leave this house and not come back until Anand comes back from UK to take her back. And then later she comes to know that Anand has also had visited India and gone back, and he didn't even meet her. So that's how she comes to know that he has actually dumped her without letting her know anything. She had been writing letters to him, and he had not been responding. But Anupama, where the novel begins, it begins with a scene where Anupama is selling tickets to one of her shows. She's a great dancer. So that is the place where Anand also meets her and also sees her on the stage and is truly impressed. So that sets the stage for what Anupama is. She is a very confident girl with a lot of talents. She goes back to her father's house, and even her mother and her, she has a stepmother who just doesn't like to take this girl in because she has two other daughters whom she should get married, and Anupama doesn't have a good with this leukoderma. It might be difficult to get her daughters married. So she finds that she is not welcome to her own father's house as well. So she decides to go away to Mumbai, which is called Bombay in the novel. She goes away to Bombay, and in due course she gets a job as a professor. She's a dance. She's an expert in dance. She has her own her own dance school. She has a huge fan following. Her students, her are bhaktas. She teaches them dance, and she performs on the stage. Later, sometime Anand comes back to Mumbai and happens to see her perform on the stage. He regrets for his foolish decision, tries to come back to Anupama, but Anupama says it's okay, it's done. She doesn't want him to come back. There's another person waiting for Anupama called I forget the name, and she says it's okay. She doesn't want, she doesn't need to depend on another male to continue her journey. So she politely refuses to the other person who wants to join her in her journey. And as a last bullet goes, determined to rebuild her life against all odds, she finds success, respect, and shows it to the world that a woman can live with self-respect without a male counterpart. So though Anand comes back and he regrets for what he has done, Anupama doesn't mind sending him away and even refusing to another person who'd like to join her. So that's how she breaks the chains of the society which has dumped her because of leukoderma. She has found herself liberated from those bad things that she was facing through in the society. Through her talents and through her abilities, she has proved herself to the world and gets respect now. She doesn't mind having split away with things with the people in the society who would have dumped her. Then we have Dollar Bahu. I've already kind of given a gist of that. Gaurama, the female protagonist in the novel, is masculine in the sense that she holds powerful position in a house. I'd like to throw some light on masculine and male, female, masculine, and feminine here. Male and female are biological terms, and feminine and masculine are social constructs. That is the traits that the society poses on the female and male separately. This is what a female is supposed to be. She's supposed to be very sensitive, very humble. She won't have love for power, when we will not give her power, and she can be very emotional, whereas male is supposed to not have much emotions, and male is the one who hold power in the family or in the society or in political circles. In the masculine, male and female, you're born male or female, and the masculine and feminine are social constructs which the society defines. This is not what you're born with. So Gaurama has some masculine traits in the sense that she holds a powerful position in her house, and however, certain reasons or the power she holds has negative impact on the family. While we are in this paper, I am supporting female masculinity. That the society realizes that the female also needs to be powerful. The female also may be aggressive like the male, and she may still have feminine traits. So it should not be glued to any biological identity. So here, though I support this fact, there's one thing to be noted, that the masculinity that Sudha Murty had some negative impact on the family. And because she had a bias and she would support the dollar bahu, the bahu whose husband would earn in dollars, and she didn't much like the bahu whose husband earns in rupees. So, and because she's powerful, she had a powerful impact of her bias on the family as well. So this is one place where in Sudha Murty novels where we see that female masculinity has some negative impact. We could see a similar thing in the novel that we had just discussed just before that, Mahashweta, where again the mother-in-law and the stepmother were very rude to Anupama, the girl with leukoderma. So in these two novels, we also see the negative impact that female masculinity might have. Like masculinity anywhere could have, whether it's with male or female, it can have some negative impacts. Whoever has it. It can have positive impacts as well, definitely. The next novel that we'll discuss here is The Mother I Never Knew. This story is about, as I briefed earlier, about a person who has a son probably out of wedlock, and that and they had a, just a minute. I'd like you to just look at the second one. The first bullet is about another novel that we'll discuss called the House of Cards. We'll just look at the second bullet now. Bhagirathi, a young illiterate widow, takes charge of her life and moves away from her village to keep away from the atrocities of the society. Like a lioness, she defends her son and assures that he leads a dignified life. So, so she is the one, um, this illiterate widow, who has to um, take care of her son, and she has to live her life without her husband, because of which the society really troubles her. So she goes away from the village to a place where not many people would know her. And as the word I've used here, like a lioness, she defends her son against all odds. She sees that her son gets a good life, good education, and lives a dignified life. And the house of cards. This the first bullet is about the house of cards, where Mridula decides to leave her family and to live an independent life all alone. She leaves the house with the words, "Now I want to live my life for myself. I have my job, my school, and my village. You don't have to worry about me any longer. You and Shishir, that is her son, can visit me whenever you want." We discussed this novel some time back. The novel is called The House of Cards. Pardon me, we should have had this in a um, separate slide. This has got merged with The Mother I Knew. So Mridula sees that her husband is thinking more about earning money, whereas his profession is very noble one. He's a doctor, and their son Shishir also takes after the father. So they'll do anything to earn out of their profession. And Mridula is a government school teacher. At some point, she decides that it's too much. Even her son has gone wayward. That is her, and she decides that she should um, break ties with her husband, and even with the son. They could just visit her sometime, but she would not like to be a part of that family now. Um, she finds herself enchained when she is living with people who have very bad values, which should never agree with. And one common thing that we'll see in all these novels, in fact, I've studied some Nayantara Sehgal novels also for feminist attitudes and feminist attempts. And in all these novels which I've studied from Nayantara Sehgal as well as Sudha Murty, one thing that I find common is that to get liberated, they finally have to mostly part ways with the family. They have to break up with the husband, with the spouse, or even break ties with the whole family. This is something that I have observed in all the novels. I'm looking forward to one of the novels by Sudha Murty where the woman doesn't have to break her ties. She finds self-emancipation, keeping her family intact. I would look forward to a novel from Sudha Murty for this. But the novels that we have discussed, that I've found, that I've read from Sudha Murty, the woman has to find liberation, get self-emancipation only by breaking ties with the family, with the spouse. There are some feminist messages that we can see from some select novels of Sudha Murty through some common quotes that I found interesting. This is one of them. Once she ceases to be a parasite, the system based on her dependence crumble. Between her and the universe, there is no longer any need for a masculine mediator. That's one of the lead writers in feministic literature. So once she ceases to be a parasite, one thing common in the women characters that I've seen in Sudha Murty novels is that she is hugely dependent on her spouse or her family. Like, look at Mahashweta. In Mahashweta, Anupama is an excellent dancer. She is very well educated. She could have a very good professional career. She could have been very independent, but by choice, she preferred to stay at home and totally depend on her husband and family for everything. Her identity was her family and her husband. And the where they began was not the best place to begin. They could have had their own identity, their own individuality, their own choices, their passions. They should have not given up when as soon as they get married. No, I think that was one of the reasons why these women in Sudha Murty novels were ever enchained. Otherwise, I think they would not have been enchained at all had they realized that they were supposed to be something beyond that, and they should have established their individuality before they got married, or even after they got married, living in the system, living in the family itself. So the system which supported her crumbled when the woman saw that she was no longer that important person for her spouse. They had some other interests, or the family, for her family, she was a burden. It is only then that she thinks of herself. It's only then she thinks of her self-emancipation. So, was this a part of her being that she has her own individuality, her own identity? She should keep her identity, she should respect her identity. Then, probably, she would not have been seen as a parasite, and the system on which she depended would be a system which depended on her too. So it wouldn't have crumbled probably the way it did in the novels that we have selected for this discussion today. Let's look at another quotation. The question isn't who is going to let me, it is who is going to stop me. If you can recollect with the novel that we just discussed, Gently Falls the Bakula. She gives up her PhD. She gives up her love for history. She gives up all her tastes and everything to see to it that her husband uh, is comfortable, grows high in his career. She learns all computer skills and does a lot of work for him at home. Though he holds a huge corporate position, uh, the Srimati, that is the female character, she is the one who drafts letters for him, and she's so good at it that he doesn't even go through the letters that she writes. He just has to sign them and send it. She is not a part of his company. She doesn't work there, but she is so sharp. She is so brilliant. She knows what to draft in a letter and what should go into it. And she manages his finances. Such a smart girl, but she doesn't think of herself at all. They don't even have children because Shrikant, her husband, thinks that it's going to come as an hindrance for his career. She bows down to everything. And when you when you bow down too much on too many occasions, you just forget yourself. And then all those bottling up finally leads to a blast. So left to me, I would look at these characters as they definitely are victims, but they too have to, we have to realize that women have to take the responsibility of not being exploited and seeing to it that they maintain their individuality and yet take the responsibilities and play the roles that they have to, and also see to it that the rest of the family play their have their take up their own responsibilities. Yes, of course, many times when it doesn't work, she has to split ways. But rather than thinking, if bottling up and every time thinking, who's going to let me do this? Oh, he won't let me do a PhD. If I do a PhD, how will he? He's getting a transfer, and I'm doing my PhD in Mumbai. He's going away to Delhi now. I should stop my PhD, otherwise, how will he continue life without me? And she goes after him. Srimati goes with her husband wherever he has to go on his promotions. He has to shift places. So she goes with him, not caring for her choices, her passions. It is much later than that she realizes it's who is going to stop me. um, a lot of bottling up, I would say, would not be, is something that the new woman should not be doing. She should follow her passions. There's another one coming from Serena Williams. Every woman's success should be an inspiration to another. We are the strongest when we cheer each other on. So that's a sportsman's attitude, that we should go ahead as a team. The women should go ahead as a team. May I add here that there will be women who have been who live uh, as divorcees with a kind of it's kind of bad thing that you are a divorcee, and it's a stigma even now in our society. So when we cheer each other on, when we look at the characters in Sudha Murty novels, I think we will make them strong when we cheer such people rather than look down upon certain failures that they've had in life. May I mention here one incident from the life of Anupama in Mahashweta. Anupama, the girl who was inflicted with leukoderma. She even had considered suicide. She thought, how can I carry on with my life like this? My parents and my stepmother, they don't want me in their house. My mother-in-law doesn't want me. My husband has broken ties with me. Now, what's the point in living? So while she is on the top of a hill to visit a temple, she considers even jumping off a cliff to end her life. But at that point, she also thinks, why should I end my life? For whom? For people who wouldn't even cry for me after my death? It's at this point she decides, no, I must create a beautiful life for myself. And then she decides it's a huge transformation. Here is the point at which she roars out her decision for self-emancipation. So I'd like to interpret this quote: every woman's success should be an inspiration to another. While I did express my view that women should learn to still go with have a family and have a husband, not break ties, and while even is the best decision that she finds, and she breaks ties with the family and decides to live all alone, even then, every woman's success should be an inspiration, even for the others. Even the person who has broken ties with the family should be an inspiration to all. Because, after all, she did not decide to give up living. All the women in these novels did give up their did snap ties with the family, but they did um, go with their passions. They did not give up what they wanted from their life. So that is where every woman's success should be an inspiration to another. And now, coming to the last point, the feministic message from the select novels of Sudha Murty. Though we have talked about most of the things through the presentation, I'll the 5 minutes remaining with me, I'd like to talk about what is the take home for us. First one, the women must find their own way out rather than expecting some women's association or some forum to help them out. They are in distress. The women that Sudha Murty has put before us as inspiration for us is that the women should find their own way. It's not necessary to depend on the family or other men. As we saw in Mahashweta, Anupama no longer depends on her family. In fact, I'd like to add here that Anupama was shunned away by her stepmother, but once she starts earning, her stepmother tells her that it's a duty to support her stepsisters. Though she doesn't like to go back to them anymore, she does keep sending money to them, to her stepmother and stepsisters, even after she's lost her father. So it is not necessary to depend on the family or other men. The family might depend on her, and still she's away from the family with whom she doesn't want to live anymore. Similarly, there's another man waiting to join her journey, whom she politely declines. So it's not necessary for her to depend on the family or other men. Uh, Literate or illiterate, women can move ahead even without the male support. The women, one of the women in the novel called The Mother I Never Knew, we've seen a poor widow who moves out of her village to live a more respectable life and sees to it that her son gets a very good life, very good education, and also has a very good future. So whether literate or illiterate, these women move ahead with their life even without the male support. This is another inspiration that Sudha Murty gives us. While most of the women bank upon their skills, their degrees, their knowledge to move ahead, there's one illiterate woman as well here who is equally successful even without the family support. The breaking of trust also turns up grit in the women to take charge of their lives. that that breaking of trust itself is an energizer for the women in these novels. They were going smoothly, but once they realize that they are being ditched or they are being dumped or fooled around, that that negative impact charges them to break, and that gives them the strength and the courage to move ahead. So the breaking of trust itself churns up the grit in the women. That's another thing that we observe in these novels that you considered. Women must not depend on their um, talents alone. Sorry, on their knowledge alone, and still go ahead with the what life has in store with them for them. That was all, and that's the end of the presentation that we've had today. Thank you all. I hope you had. Thanks for being patient listeners. And if there are any questions or something, we can go ahead with that.
Thank you, ma'am. If there are any questions, please you may ask. Are there any? Can we move ahead, ma'am?
Other than questions, I definitely appreciate that you add on to what we've had.
Audience may directly unmute themselves and talk to the speakers if they have any question also.
Ma'am, is it it's my opinion or it's my question? I must say that as you mentioned in one of the novels that Mahashweta about the character Anupma. So when you were telling about it, when you were briefing about it, is it contemporary to the serial that we hear these days of Anupma in Star Plus? Because some or the other way it sounds familiar, where she also takes a stand and she also gets separated from her husband in order to pursue her life and is it so?
Many of Sudha Murty novels are good stuff or are for serials, and many of them have been converted to serials. I don't know exactly about Mahashweta if it has been used for a serial, but then I read about the Dollar Bahu, and Sas Bahu serials are so popular in our circles. So I've heard that. I know that the Dollar Bahu has found a place in the TV serials. I'm not sure about Mahashweta.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, may I say something? Actually,
Sure.
the protagonist of the novel Mahashweta is Anupama, but the title of the
Is
novel is Mahashweta. I actually
yeah.
didn't correlate. Could you please throw some light on it?
Then would you please repeat the question?
Actually, the protagonist of the novel is Anupama, but the novel
Yeah.
is titled as Mahasweta. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to throw some
Yeah.
light on it. Yeah,
Yeah. The story is about Anupama, the girl inflicted with
yeah,
leukoderma. So she has white patches over her body, and it starts with her leg, and so that is what gives the name to the novel.
yes, ma'am.
This Mahashweta,
Okay, okay.
she is a spotless girl character-wise, and she is as the word Shweta. I think it tells about two things: the spotlessness in Anupama and the disease that she has, and which creates a lot of huckers in her life.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. So, if there is no any other question, Subhangshi ma'am, you can go ahead for the
Yeah.
chairperson. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am, for such an enlightening session and letting us know that feminine and masculine are the social construct. And we, as a woman, have to take the responsibility of not being exploited. We thank you, ma'am, once again.
Okay.
I would now like to invite the chairperson of our forum, Dr. Archana Singh. Before inviting her, I would like to give a brief introduction of ma'am. Dr. Archana Singh is an assistant professor and head of the Department of English at Bhanu Pratap Government PG College, North Bastar, Kanke. She has been teaching English language and literature to UG and PG students for the last 27 years. She has published more than 30 scholarly papers in national and international care listed UGC and referred journals. She has also presented papers in various national and international conferences, seminars, and webinars. She has presented a paper in an international conference held in Cape Town, South Africa. She has also prepared a module for ePathshala. Her area of interest lies in English drama and linguistics. We now welcome you, ma'am, Dr. Archana Singh, ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Shobhaji, for this lovely introduction. First of all, thank you, ma'am, Kurian, for selecting such an important topic. And congratulations, because your deliberation was wonderful, engaging, and very insightful. So, first of all, you have started your lecture. It was a very beautiful PPT presentation, and everything has become very clear, I think, to all of us. So, first of all, you have started with 3 keywords, and those 3 keywords itself describe what about your lecture. The first keyword was patriarchy, where you talked about that is the self-emancipation. In the literary text written by men, myths, legends, epics, and lyrics depict her as goddess. You know, in Manusmriti, as we all know, it's written that Yatra Naryasu Pujyante Ramante Tatre Devta. And Maithili Sharan Gupta wrote, अबला जीवन है तुम्हारी यही कहानी आंचल में दूध और आंखों में पानी. So on the one hand, they are talking about us like a goddess, like an incarnation of goddess. And on the second hand, they are saying that we are we are poor. What about an individuality? Where it has disappeared? Where is the individuality of a woman? Either a goddess or a commodity. What about other things? So first of all, when I read Sudha Murty, so the first writing, it was not a novel, it was a collection of 11 different stories, which she draws from her personal life. And the name of that collection of stories was 3,000 Stitches. So first I read that, and I was very much impressed by her writing, because as Mahatma Gandhi said कि आपका जीवन ही आपका संदेश है. So if we apply this to Sudha Murty madam, then her life is herself itself a message to all women. Her life, because we know, and I'm not going just in detail about her life, because everybody, and if everybody is interested in Sudha Murty, then she or he must read about her life history, that how she the progression of her life, you can see. So here you have talked about 4 of her novels, and first was Gently Falls the Bakula, second Mahashweta, third was Dollar Bahu, and fourth was The Mother I Never Knew, and the fifth one was House of Cards. So when all novels, we all her novels, different stories she has taken. She has taken, she has depicted, she has just written different story about women, but the message is only one, and that is the self-emancipation. So what are, and very beautifully, you have connected some important quotes with her novels. When one of the quotes which you have taken, uh, that uh, the quote was, the question is not that the question is not that
Who will let me?
um, who is going to
Let
let me. The question is who is going to stop me. That will be the question. And the things that we draw from all her novels that you have described here, and the novels which, of course, I have read some novels and I want to read some novels. So the main thing that I have just come to know about the female characters of her novels, and what actually Sudha Murty wants to tell us, that you have to stand for herself. Nobody is going to stand for you. Nobody is going to, because of course there are many policies, there are many schemes, there are many laws to ensure the development and safety of women. But one thing is for sure, that you have to stand for yourself. And that is what we call self-emancipation. William Shakespeare said that the world would be imperfect without the presence of women. So what does he mean when he writes these lines? That the world would be imperfect without the presence of women. Where the presence of women, only the presence of women can make this world perfect? No. No, you have to make yourself perfect in all the skills. You have to educate yourself. You have to just stand for yourself. You have to understand what is good and what is bad for you, and how to handle the situation by your own. You should not just look at others, that they will come and help you out. You have to be very strong. And then you have to respect your intellectuality. You have to shed your image of bodily person. And that is the weakness of many women. Shed their image of bodily person. You have to respect your own intelligence, that you are an intelligent woman. You have to respect your intelligence. You have to shed your bodily image, and you should always respect other women. You should always respect whatever she is doing. You should respect her. And one thing which is my personal experience, that you should keep yourself away from talking ill about other women. That is very much necessary. What Sudha Murty, you have lastly what you have written, that we have to encourage each other. We are strongest when we cheer each other. Yes, that is very much necessary. That because a mind of a woman can be understood well by other women. So you have to understand, you have to respect the feeling of each other. That is very much necessary. You should never, ever support the person who tarnishes the image of a woman. Because it is very easy to take a revenge on a woman. If you want to take a revenge, then you should just tarnish the image of that woman. So you should just keep yourself away from all these things. So those are the main things. And if you want to make this world, if you want to call this world, means if you want this mankind to be called a humankind, man domination is there. So that's why we say mankind. So if you really, means especially I'm saying to all these ladies who are present here, that if you want to be called this mankind, if you want to call this mankind a humankind, you should come out of the tendency of ladies first. You have to come out of that tendency. You have to say that no, I'm equal to man, and where he stands, I will also stand there. Why are you giving preference to me because I'm a woman? Don't give any preference to me. Don't say ladies first because I am equal to you. I am equal. And so, lastly, I want to quote what Swami Vivekananda said, that our duty is to put the chemicals together. The crystallization will come through God's laws. Let us put ideas into their heads and they will do the rest. So first of all, make yourself educate. And that's why I always support only one thing that will make you free from all these things, and that will beti bachao, beti padhao. One and most important thing is to get education, to be skilled on all in all the things, means to go with the time. That is very much necessary. So thank you very much, ma'am. Really, you have selected interesting topic, the topic which is one of my choices, and really I like Sudha Murty madam very much. And I suggest everyone to read out all the novels and also 3,000 stitches, where she um, first of all, when the story actually revolves around the lives of the sex workers of or Devdasis. So how she set them free, how she now they are leading their own life, and they present a very beautiful bed sheet to Sudha Murty, where everyone means those Devdasis were actually 3,000 in numbers. So they stitch means only small parts of that bed sheet, and they present that bed sheet to Sudha Murty. So that is the story of that, and that is a real, that is actually a fact. So thank you very much. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I now like to invite Dr. Kirti Tiwari, ma'am, for the distribution of the certificates. Is ma'am here? Kirti Tiwari, ma'am.
She is very much here, ma'am.
Garsha,
Yeah.
Madam is there.
Sir,
Ghanshyam sir is not there.
No, he is not
Garsha
here.
Madam, Ghanshyam sir.
ma'am,
He is not.
Then invite Rita.
ma'am, Indrani Borkar, ma'am.
Yeah, ask her
His name was
to.
here in the list.
Yeah.
We now invite Indrani Borkar, ma'am, to present the certificates of the ceremony. Respected Indrani Borkar, ma'am.
Yes, yes. Good evening to all.
Please.
Narul,
Oh,
sir, can you help
yeah. I think
Indrani?
Garsha ma'am can. Yeah, Indra ma'am is here. I am sharing the certificates on screen. Indra ma'am, please
Okay, sir.
say a few words when I share in the screen.
Yes,
Yeah.
these certificates are token of appreciation and respect from iSpell always. And Jessie ma'am, it was a great session. Thank you so much for this session. And this is a certificate of appreciation from iSpell Chhattisgarh Forum. And please receive it, ma'am, with respect and appreciation.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much,
Thank
Indra.
you. And thank you so much for being part of
It's an honor, Indrani. Thank you very much for calling me here.
It's our privilege and honor, ma'am, that you are with us and you have shared your knowledge with us. That is our takeaway. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And this is the certificate for appreciation for our own convener, ma'am, Dr. Archana Singh. She's always with us in this forum, and she always guided us in a positive way. Thank you so much, ma'am. And please, hi, forum. Thank you.
Ma'am, our moderator, Indrani ma'am.
Yes, actually, I cannot see the.
Screen is not
Yes,
visible.
yes. Now I can see.
Yeah.
Yes, now I can see. Yes, yes, Nurul,
Yeah.
I can see now. Thank you.
Uh,
So this is the certificate of appreciation from us. I spell Chhattisgarh Forum for Miss Subhanshi Pandey. She executed the whole program incredibly well. So thank you so much, Subhanshi. And this is please Chhattisgarh Forum.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Subhanshi, and thank you all.
Thank you. If Rita Soni madam wants to say something.
Vote of thanks from her side.
I just want to say I read the short story of Sudha Murty, and we have prescribed in the first semester. I find a different image there where she stands as a seeking women as more stronger. For example, a bottle of dew, where the husband is moving after sage or magic potion, and Madhumati, the protagonist, she is working in plantation and earning money as a gold coin and telling the husband that that is superstition and hard work has no substitute. So, in shorter story, we find this thing. So that for the students of BSc first year or BA, those stories can pave way for them for their moral growth. So we have just put in the BSc first semester. So that I find in Sudha Murty. And other thing, ma'am, really it was a wonderful listening to you. It was an enriching, enlightening session. And I'm really indebted to you. Madam Archana, thank you for being so active, so supportive, and beautifully you have summed up everything. Thank you, ma'am. And dear Subhanshu, I thank you for beautifully sailing this boat and saturating our quest for knowledge. Thank you, dear.
Thank you, ma'am.
And I thank Nurul for always being supportive to us. Nurul, I extend my thanks to you and gratitude to every participant.
Thank you, ma'am.
present.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
So I think now we can end the session.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you, all of you.
Thank
Thank you
you,
very
ma'am.
much.
Good.
Archana, ma'am.